Have you ever witnessed the moment a flawless image cracks, revealing secrets hidden behind diamond-studded curtains? Picture a glittering ballroom, filled with A-list celebrities, business magnates, and flashing cameras. This was supposed to be the happiest night of Alina Carter's life. She was carrying her husband's child, sitting proudly in the front row, watching him receive an award that cemented his status as the city's most influential millionaire. Then, with one fateful sentence, everything she thought she knew shattered. He thanked a woman who was not her someone who was clearly more than just a business associate. And in that moment, the real drama began. Alina Carter sat in front of her vanity mirror, brushing her long auburn hair. Her reflection trembled under the soft light as she applied a layer of lip gloss. She was nearly 6 months pregnant and could feel the subtle flutters of her unborn child. The thick, shimmering, midnight blue gown hugged her blossoming figure. It had been tailored carefully to accommodate her growing belly, ensuring she'd still look elegant on one of the most important nights of her husband's life. Maxwell Carter, her husband, was no ordinary man. He had ascended from a modest background to become one of New York's most notable millionaires. People often compared him to the famed rags-to-riches stories like Andrew Carnegie or Steve Jobs. But behind every success was a private story of heartbreak, diligence, and sometimes secrets. Alina thought she knew them all until this night would prove otherwise. They lived in a luxurious penthouse, towering over Manhattan's Upper East Side. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panorama of the city's scintillating skyline. Tonight, those lights seemed to glow with anticipation, as though they, too, were waiting to witness Maxwell's crowning moment at the Redwood Business Excellence Awards. Invited guests included corporate moguls, movie stars, and political figures. Alina had spent the last week carefully preparing for it, from picking out her gown to writing a small speech in case she was called to say a few words about her husband's achievements. Yet despite the glamorous facade, Alina wrestled with an unsettling feeling, a quiet dread in the pit of her stomach that she attributed to nerves. She was sure it was nothing more than stage fright, or the typical anxiety of being in a high society spotlight. After all, Maxwell was receiving Entrepreneur of the Year, a prestigious title offered to only a handful of people annually. It was the pinnacle of recognition for his sterling performance at Carter Tech Solutions. Alina sighed, checking the time on her phone. They were supposed to leave soon. Just as she rose, carefully smoothing the folds of her gown, the door to the dressing room opened. Maxwell appeared immaculate in a tailored black tuxedo. He offered her his hand, in a gesture that was half chivalrous, half romantic. She took it, and he leaned in to place a brief warm kiss on her cheek. His cologne, sandalwood, with a faint citrus undertone, filled her senses, and she felt a temporary wave of confidence. "You look amazing," he said, his voice low and reassuring. "You don't look so bad yourself," Alina teased, trying to dispel her own jitters with levity. They walked out together. In the elevator, Maxwell squeezed her hand. "Thank you for being here, Alina. This means everything to me." She smiled, ignoring the uneasy weight in her chest. "I wouldn't miss it for the world, Max." Her words rang with sincerity. Little did she know, by the end of the evening, she would question everything she believed about the man beside her. Born on the outskirts of Cincinnati, Maxwell Carter had learned from an early age that life was neither fair nor predictable. His father worked 2 jobs, weekdays at a metal fabrications plant and weekends as a handyman. His mother juggled waitressing shifts and cleaning houses for wealthy families. Maxwell's early memories included nights of meager dinners, weekly rummage sales for second-hand clothes, and the absolute imperative that education was a ticket to a better life. In high school, Maxwell's entrepreneurial spirit emerged. He would help neighbors fix their outdated computers for a small fee. By the time he was a college freshman at a local community college, he had established a modest online shop selling custom-built motherboards at competitive prices. But the real turning point happened when Maxwell transferred to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, under a scholarship. There, he met a tech-savvy friend named Benjamin Ben Rothstein, a genius programmer from a privileged background. Together, they launched Carter Tech Solutions. Initial success was slow, but Maxwell's unstoppable drive and Ben's cutting-edge coding eventually caught the eye of venture capitalists. Within 8 years, the company soared, securing multiple patents for innovative software solutions that streamlined corporate data analytics. By the time Maxwell was 35, he was being hailed as a new-age tech giant. Amid these high-flying achievements, Maxwell met Alina Jacobs, then a promising interior designer with a growing client base. Their love story began at a mutual friend's housewarming party. She was there to assess renovations. He was there to congratulate a friend who had just become a partner in a law firm. A spilled glass of red wine on the new sofa would become the comedic spark that led to their first real conversation. Charmed by her wit, Maxwell pursued Alina, relentlessly sending her daily flowers, sweet text messages, and small tokens of affection. A whirlwind romance led to a grand wedding at the historic Harrington Estate in Boston, an affair attended by celebrities and dignitaries. Maxwell's mother, Ann Carter, cried tears of joy, grateful that her once impoverished son had found both love and success. When Alina became pregnant 2 years into their marriage, it felt like the ultimate blessing, a child to carry on the Carter legacy. They decided to keep the pregnancy private until her bump became visibly noticeable. This Redwood Business Excellence Awards ceremony would be Alina's first public appearance, with her pronounced belly subtly announcing to the world that the Carters were expanding their dynasty. The Redwood Hotel's grand ballroom was as opulent as one might imagine, crystal chandeliers illuminating every corner, velvet drapes lined in gold, and a long red carpet that welcomed VIPs. Paparazzi lined the entrance, snapping pictures as celebrities and business tycoons emerged from limousines. It was a spectacle of wealth, power, and prestige. Alina stepped out of the black Mercedes, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nerves. Cameras flashed incessantly. She mustered a graceful smile, her hand resting on her belly. Maxwell circled an arm protectively around her waist, guiding her through the barrage of reporters. Inside, a hush fell as guests found their assigned seats, each table adorned with elaborate centerpieces of calla lilies and red roses. A live band played soft jazz, setting a refined mood. Alina recognized a few well-known faces: real estate magnate Philip Morris, actress Vanessa Lowe's, and Dr. Elizabeth White of the Los Angeles Medical Center, known for her philanthropic work. Seated at the table next to them was Dominic Castillo, the famed Chicago-based property developer, and his wife, Sophia Castillo. The social elite all mingled in one place. Yet as Alina greeted acquaintances, she noticed a curious phenomenon. Some people shook her hand warmly, but then offered Maxwell a peculiar knowing smile. She caught fragments of hushed conversations and uncertain glances in her direction. It was as though she were being pitied, or worse, like someone was holding on to a terrible secret about her husband. She tried to dismiss these feelings, rationalizing them as envy. Perhaps rumors had circulated about Maxwell's imminent success, or maybe they were just in awe of his rising star. Nevertheless, her mind kept revisiting the strange expression on Philip Moritz's face when he said to her, "Congratulations to the both of you." The words sounded genuine, but his eyes flickered with something else apology. Alina leaned in to whisper to Maxwell, "Is everything all right? People are acting so strangely." He gave her a reassuring smile. "They're probably just starstruck or jealous. Don't let it bother you." She nodded, but her anxiety did not subside. She could feel the baby stirring within her, as if sensing her unease. Maybe she was overthinking. Tonight was about celebrating Maxwell's achievements. She resolved to set aside her doubts and focus on supporting him. The awards ceremony began with a flourish. The host, a charismatic figure named Kevin Porter, famous for his comedic timing, welcomed everyone to the Redwood Business Excellence Awards. His opening monologue was peppered with light-hearted jabs at the wealthy. "If you combine the net worth of the people in this room, we could buy a small country or at least a mid-sized sports team," he quipped, eliciting polite laughter. One by one, smaller awards were handed out: Innovative Startup of the Year, Excellence in Design, Green Tech Pioneer, and so forth. As the night progressed, tension built toward the final prize, Entrepreneur of the Year. Seated at a round table near the stage, Alina clasped her hands together under the table to calm her nerves. She could sense Maxwell's excitement, too, though he wore a composed mask. A camera crew roamed the aisles, capturing the reaction shots of nominees. Maxwell's image appeared on the giant screens, flanking the stage, a flattering headshot with Carter Tech Solutions displayed beneath. Then the moment arrived. Kevin Porter opened a golden envelope with a flourish, and the Redwood Business Excellence Entrepreneur of the Year goes to Maxwell Carter of Carter Tech Solutions. A thunderous applause erupted. Maxwell rose, buttoning his tuxedo jacket. Alina, beaming with pride, tried to stand, but he gently pressed her back down, concerned for her comfort. He planted a quick kiss on her forehead and made his way to the stage. The band struck up a triumphant tune as Maxwell ascended the steps, shaking hands with dignitaries. It was a surreal sight. For Alina, her husband, once a scrappy boy from a poor Cincinnati neighborhood, now hailed in front of influential leaders as a shining beacon of entrepreneurial spirit. She felt a warmth flood her chest, tears welling in her eyes. That was her man, the father of her unborn child. This was the highlight of their shared journey. Maxwell took the crystal trophy and approached the microphone. Cameras flashed like strobe lights, capturing his every move. He smiled, clearing his throat. "Thank you so much. When I started Carter Tech Solutions, I couldn't even afford proper office space. I worked out of my dorm room with my dear friend, Ben Rothstein. To stand before you tonight is an honor I never imagined. But no entrepreneur can succeed alone." Alina leaned forward in her seat, heart pounding with pride. Yes, no entrepreneur could succeed without a support system, and she, his devoted wife, had played no small part in that system. She felt a swelling happiness, eager for him to mention her, their forthcoming child, and the bright future ahead. Maxwell continued, "I want to thank my incredible team at Carter Tech Solutions. Our CFO, Linda Morgan, has been instrumental. Our head of R&D, Dr. Nelson, is a visionary. My mother, Ann Carter, who taught me everything about perseverance. And of course, there's someone else who's been my rock." Alina smiled, placing a hand on her belly. This was her moment when he'd publicly honor her love and sacrifice. "I'd like to especially acknowledge—" Maxwell paused, scanning the audience with an intensity Alina had never seen. "Veronica Cole." A hush blanketed the room. Alina's smile froze on her face. She had heard the name before, but only in passing. Veronica Cole was rumored to be a wealthy venture capitalist from Seattle, widely recognized for her striking looks and formidable business acumen. Maxwell's voice resonated through the microphone, clear and strong. Veronica believed in me when no one else would. She offered me a lifeline financially and emotionally during a time of personal crisis. Alina's heartbeat thundered in her ears, financially and emotionally, but Maxwell didn't stop. Veronica, your unwavering support, your guidance, and your presence in my life have made all the difference. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. A smattering of applause broke the awkward silence. Then came the flicker of camera flashes again, capturing Alina's stunned face. She could feel the entire ballroom turn to observe her reaction. Even Kevin Porter, the host, seemed momentarily tongue-tied. On the giant screens, Alina's face filled with confusion and heartbreak. Maxwell concluded with a polite smile, stepping away from the mic. As he descended the stage, Veronica Cole rose from a table across the room. She was tall, blonde, and wore a silver gown that shimmered under the chandeliers. The way she stared at Maxwell as he approached told everyone in that room exactly what sort of relationship they shared. Alina felt a vicious twist in her gut. The baby gave a sharp kick as though alarmed by the emotional onslaught. She was breathless, her eyes welling with tears she fought to contain. Gripping the edge of the table, she realized the entire facade of her marriage was cracking before an audience of thousands and possibly millions who would catch the story in next morning's news. The post-ceremony dinner was set to be a grand affair with a 5-course meal accompanied by a live orchestra. But for Alina, it felt like a funeral procession. People approached her table with forced smiles, offering congratulations that sounded painfully hollow. She noticed Maxwell deep in conversation with Veronica Cole, who stood too close, her hand occasionally resting on his arm in a gesture that screamed familiarity. Did Maxwell truly not realize what this looked like? Or perhaps he didn't care. The humiliation was excruciating. Alina's cheeks burned from the eyes upon her each gaze, a blend of pity and scandalized curiosity. She fiddled with her water glass, struggling to maintain composure. Her friend Maria Sterling, an event planner and longtime confidant, sidled up to her. Maria gently placed a hand on Alina's shoulder and whispered, "I'm here if you need me." Alina nodded, biting her lip. She wanted to run, but she felt rooted to her seat. Pride and hope jostled inside her, pride that she shouldn't let these people see her crumble, and hope that maybe, just maybe, there was an innocent explanation. Maxwell was a deeply complicated man. Could it be that Veronica was simply a backer he was grateful to? But then why mention emotional support so pointedly? As she sat in that swirl of chaotic emotions, she recalled a dinner conversation months ago when Maxwell had casually dropped the name Veronica while mentioning business expansions to the West Coast. Alina had barely noted it at the time. Now it loomed large, a piece of a puzzle she'd failed to assemble. Pushing her chair back, Alina stood. If Maxwell wouldn't come to her, she would go to him. He was her husband. She deserved an explanation. She made her way across the ballroom, ignoring the prying eyes, ignoring the hush that fell over the group Maxwell was addressing. Veronica turned to observe Alina, a faint, knowing smile curling her lips. Alina, Maxwell said, looking startled, "I was about to introduce you." "Were you really?" Alina seethed inside. Outwardly, she summoned every ounce of poise. "I wanted to meet Veronica," she managed, voice steady. Veronica extended a delicate hand, her manicured nails gleaming. "I've heard so much about you, Alina. Congratulations on the baby." Nausea churned in Alina's stomach. "Thank you," she said tersely, refraining from shaking Veronica's hand. The moment bristled with tension. Everyone in the small circle seemed to hold their breath. Maxwell cleared his throat. Veronica's been a tremendous help over the past year. That's quite clear from your speech, Alina interrupted, delivering each word with precision. I would have appreciated a heads up before tonight's acknowledgement. Maxwell shot her a nervous look, but Veronica merely smirked, sending a silent, infuriating message. You have no idea who I am to him. Unable to endure the charade, Alina turned on her heel and walked away, hearing the faint murmurs behind her. She thought Maxwell would follow immediately, but he did not. That was all the confirmation she needed. Something was terribly wrong. Back in the car after the event, Alina stared out the window at the passing city lights, tears quietly slipping down her cheeks. Maxwell tried to speak multiple times, but she cut him off. Don't, she whispered fiercely. Not now. Just take me home. The ride felt interminable. Alina's mind raced with questions and half-formed accusations. Was Maxwell having a full-blown affair, or was this an emotional entanglement? She recalled that every Sunday for the past few months, Maxwell had left early, claiming to be meeting a new investor or traveling to handle urgent business. Could it have been Veronica? Each time they finally reached the penthouse, Alina stepped out of the car without waiting for Maxwell to open the door. She walked into their home. Marble floors, pristine art pieces, a place she had lovingly decorated, and felt like a stranger, as if the illusions she'd built around her marriage had evaporated. Maxwell followed her in. Alina, please, let's talk. She spun around, tears flowing freely now. How could you do this to me, in front of all those people, your colleagues, our friends? I'm pregnant with your child, Maxwell. He ran a hand through his hair, face contorted in guilt. I didn't mean for it to come out this way. Veronica was instrumental during a really tough time. What tough time? Alina demanded, her voice thick with emotion. You never told me you were going through a tough time. What does that even mean? You have me, Max, your wife. Why would you turn to someone else, emotionally or otherwise? Maxwell pressed his lips together, struggling to form words. It's complicated. I was under pressure. The company was facing a major crisis with the new software rollout. A competitor nearly crushed us. Veronica stepped in with funding and moral support. Things between us. Alina shook her head, feeling her heart fracture. So you thought it appropriate to acknowledge her in your acceptance speech while I, your pregnant wife, sat there in shock. He rushed to hold her, but she backed away. I'm sorry, he pleaded. I never intended to hurt you. Yes, I was close to Veronica. It may have crossed lines it shouldn't have, but I ended it. Tonight was just me expressing gratitude for her help. Nothing more. She stared at him in disbelief. You ended it, Maxwell. Do you hear yourself? You talk about your relationship with her as if it's some business contract gone wrong. This is our marriage. Our family. He hung his head. I know, and I regret everything. Please let me explain more. Alina was too devastated to continue the conversation. Her head throbbed and her baby kicked as if distressed by her turmoil. She placed both hands over her belly, attempting to calm herself. I need time, Maxwell. Go sleep in the guest room. I can't even look at you right now. He hesitated, face twisting with remorse, but eventually nodded, stepping away. That night, Alina collapsed into bed, with tears staining her pillow, grappling with betrayal and heartbreak. In her dreams, she saw the image of Veronica's smirk, repeated over and over, an inescapable nightmare. Morning light brought little solace. Alina woke up to a phone buzzing incessantly. News outlets had picked up the story of Maxwell's surprising acceptance speech. Millionaire Maxwell Carter, thanks mysterious backer, is there trouble in paradise, gossiped the tabloids. Photos showed Alina's shell-shocked face at the event, fueling public speculation. Her social media accounts were flooded with messages, some supportive, others downright cruel. The swirl of rumors left Alina feeling exposed and vulnerable. She turned off her phone to escape the chaos. A knock at her bedroom door startled her. She tensed, expecting Maxwell, but instead found her best friend, Maria Sterling, who had a spare key and had come unannounced, worried about Alina. "Oh, Maria," Alina mumbled, tears welling up at the sight of a friendly face. She collapsed into her friend's arms. "It's so humiliating." Maria stroked her hair gently. "You have nothing to be humiliated about, Alina. He's the one who should feel ashamed. I saw the entire thing. I'm so sorry." They moved to the living room and sat on the plush couch Alina had designed herself. Alina recounted everything Maxwell had told her. Maria listened occasionally, interjecting with exclamations of disbelief and anger at Maxwell's insensitivity. "You need to decide what you want," Alina Maria said, at last, her tone gentle but firm. "If you believe Maxwell truly ended it with Veronica, and he's willing to prove that maybe there's room to work things out. But if you suspect more lies, then you need to protect yourself and your baby. Don't stay for the sake of appearances or his bank account." Alina wiped her eyes. "I don't care about his money. I love him, and this baby deserves a father, but I don't know if I can ever trust him again." She stared at the array of wedding photos on a nearby shelf. The illusions of a perfect marriage glowed mockingly in the morning light. Maria placed a hand on Alina's knee. "I know. Take the time you need. I'll help you through whatever you decide." By that afternoon, Alina had mustered the resolve to confront the situation head-on. She deserved to speak with Veronica Cole and hear her side of the story. Maxwell had gone to the office, hoping to contain the PR fallout. Alina seized the moment, determined to claim her agency in the midst of scandal. She searched for Veronica Cole's contact information. It wasn't difficult. Veronica was a high-profile venture capitalist who had been featured in Forbes. Alina dialed the publicly listed number of Cole Enterprises, her stomach twisting in knots. A polished female voice answered Veronica Cole's office. "This is Alina Carter. I'd like to speak with Ms. Cole, please." Her tone was icy controlled. A brief pause. "One moment, Mrs. Carter." In seconds, Veronica's silky voice emerged. "Alina, I've been expecting your call." The arrogance in her voice made Alina's blood boil. "We need to talk," Alina said curtly. Veronica did not hesitate. "Meet me at the Redwood Cafe in an hour. I'll have a private table." An hour later, Alina walked into the Redwood Cafe, her chin held high, even as her insides quivered. She immediately spotted Veronica near a back corner, a stylish figure with a crisp white blazer over a navy blouse, a cunning smile on her lips. Alina approached, refusing to sit. "Why did you agree to meet me?" Veronica gestured to the seat opposite her. "Because I respect you enough for that. Please sit, you're pregnant." Reluctantly, Alina obliged. She refused to touch the menu. "I need the truth, Veronica. I deserve it." Veronica leaned forward, folding her hands on the table. "Maxwell and I began working together about a year ago, as he told you. The company was in trouble, lacking funds for the new product rollout. So I invested. But it wasn't purely a business transaction. We became close. He was under immense stress, and I offered him comfort, both financially and emotionally." Tears stung Alina's eyes, but she fought them back. "How long?" Veronica shrugged, elegantly. We started sleeping together about 8 months ago. It went on for a few months. He ended it around the time you announced your pregnancy. I was furious at first, felt used, but eventually I realized I still wanted to help him succeed in business. I separated personal feelings from professional matters. Alina's stomach lurched. 8 months ago, we were trying for a baby. How could he? Veronica softened her voice with a semblance of sympathy. I'm not here to twist the knife. I'm simply telling you what happened. I was there for Maxwell in ways you couldn't be. Alina gripped the edge of the table so hard, her knuckles turned white. What do you mean? With a condescending sigh, Veronica answered, he couldn't share his business failures with you. He saw you as fragile, or maybe he didn't want to disappoint you. He needed an escape, a place where he didn't have to be the perfect husband. I gave him that. Alina's breath caught in her throat. Her heart pounded in fury and sorrow. Was it possible Maxwell had truly seen her as too fragile to handle his failures? And why did he publicly thank you last night? She asked coldly. He humiliated me. Veronica took a moment, then offered a wry smile. He felt guilty for not acknowledging my role in his turnaround. And I suspect deep down, he wanted the world to know I was important to him at some point in his life, even if he had chosen you in the end. The blunt words were like a punch to the gut. Alina fought the urge to storm out, telling herself she needed this confrontation to move forward. Thank you, she managed, voice trembling. At least I know the truth now. Veronica inclined her head, reaching for her espresso. You're welcome. But let me tell you one last thing. If Maxwell wants to make things right, he'll do anything to win back your trust. Don't let him off easy. If you do, he'll never learn. With that, Alina stood, refusing to dignify Veronica with a final glance. She left the cafe, tears rushing down her cheeks as she stepped into the bustling afternoon sidewalk. She felt a hollow ache, like her chest had caved in. But a fiery resolve began to spark. She would not be the passive victim of Maxwell's betrayal. Alina returned to the penthouse, numb and shaking. She found Maxwell pacing in the living room, looking weary. When he saw her relief and fear warred in his eyes, he rushed over. Where were you? She brushed his arm aside. I met with Veronica. She told me everything. All of it. Maxwell's face blanched. Alina, I was going to explain, and yet you didn't, she said, her voice trembling with rage. You planned to keep me in the dark. You publicly thanked her, humiliating me in front of everyone, while you told me lies about just an emotional involvement. I know you slept with her. He opened his mouth to protest, but no words came. Finally, he exhaled. I'm sorry. Sorry, Alina repeated in disbelief. You had an affair while I was trying to conceive our child. How do you think that makes me feel? You have no right to ask for my forgiveness. His eyes brimmed with tears. I never wanted to hurt you. I was desperate. Don't you dare blame desperation, she spat. If you needed help with the company, you could have come to me. You made a choice, multiple choices, knowing exactly how it would tear us apart. The emotional toll weighed heavily on Alina. She felt her strength draining. She wanted to curl up and cry, but she pressed on, unwavering. I'm leaving, she announced, quiet but firm. I need time away from you to think about what I want for myself and this baby. Maxwell blanched, stepping forward. Alina, please, don't go. Let me make it right. I'll do anything. She shook her head. You've already done enough. I'll stay at Maria's place for a while. She stormed into the bedroom to pack a small bag. Maxwell trailed behind her, pleading for her to reconsider, but she resolutely shut the door in his face. An hour later, she left the penthouse, adrenaline fueling her as she hailed a taxi. The city lights flickered in the dusk, an echo of her shattered dreams. Maria welcomed Alina with open arms into her modest apartment on the Upper West Side. It was far smaller than the penthouse, but it radiated warmth and safety, something Alina desperately needed. As she sank onto Maria's couch, exhaustion claimed her. She felt physically and emotionally drained, her pregnant belly reminding her of the life she carried. Over the next few days, Maxwell inundated her phone with calls, texts, and voicemails. He apologized, begged, offered to set up counseling, and promised to sever all ties with Veronica. Alina read every word but did not respond. She needed the quiet to think to process. The media frenzy also continued swirling, with speculations about the pregnant wife's heartbreak and the scorned mistress. Alina stayed indoors to avoid paparazzi camped outside. On the third day, Alina received a call from Benjamin Rothstein, Maxwell's old friend and co-founder of Carter Tech. She had always liked Ben. He was straightforward, geeky, and sincere. Hesitantly, she answered. "Alina, I'm so sorry you're going through this," Ben said, voice quivering with empathy. "But I wanted to talk to you about Maxwell. He's not in a good place." Anger rose in her. "He should have thought about that before cheating on me." "I know," Ben said. "I'm not defending him, but I want you to know some context. Last year, the company almost went bankrupt. The level of stress Maxwell was under was astronomical. He got into some dark places mentally. I tried to help, but he shut me out. Veronica swept in, offering solutions, and, well, she took advantage. I think she manipulated him." Alina closed her eyes. "He's a grown man, Ben. He can't blame manipulation. He made his own choices." Ben sighed. "You're right. I just want you to know that Maxwell was near collapse. One of our biggest deals fell through at the last minute, and he was drowning in depression. I'm not excusing what he did, but I want you to have the full picture." A tear rolled down Alina's cheek. "I appreciate your concern, Ben, but I still need time." "I understand," he said. "Just remember that you're not alone. If there's anything you need, financial, emotional, whatever, I'm here." As she ended the call, Alina felt a swirl of conflicting emotions: pity for Maxwell's desperation, fury at his betrayal, and sadness for the broken state of their relationship. By the end of the week, Alina decided it was time to meet Maxwell in a neutral setting. She needed to lay down her terms. She arranged to see him in Ben Rothstein's office, avoiding the penthouse where she had so many memories. On the appointed day, she arrived at Carter Tech Solutions. Employees she recognized glanced at her sympathetically, likely having read the sensationalized headlines. She walked with her chin high, refusing to let the pitying stares break her poise. Maxwell was already in Ben's private office, pacing nervously. The moment Alina stepped in, he moved toward her, but she raised a hand, stopping him. "Ben, can we have the room?" she asked. Ben nodded, left quietly, closing the door behind him. They stood facing each other, husband and wife, now separated by betrayal and pain. Alina spoke first. "I'm meeting you because we need to figure out where to go from here. Our child deserves a stable environment." Maxwell nodded, eyes red from apparent sleepless nights. "I want to make everything right." "Then listen carefully," Alina said, her voice icy. 1. You end all personal ties with Veronica Cole. That includes calls, texts, any contact outside strictly business matters that I personally approve of. 2. We go to marital counseling. I need proof that you're willing to work on this relationship with an impartial therapist. 3. I want transparency, your phone, emails, financials. Everything. You lost my trust. You have to earn it back. Maxwell swallowed hard. "I agree to all of it." Alina clenched her jaw, fighting to maintain composure. Additionally, if I see any sign of deception, I'm filing for divorce. No second chances, Maxwell. Our child deserves honesty, and so do I. He inhaled sharply, stepping closer, but still not touching her. I understand. I'll do whatever it takes. I have no feelings for Veronica. I love you, Alina. A wave of grief washed over her. You have a strange way of showing it. Silence descended thick with tension and sorrow. Alina broke the hush. We'll start counseling next week. I'll come back to this penthouse only after you show me that you've cut Veronica off for good. Maxwell quickly reached for his phone. I'll do it right now. In front of you. She nodded. He dialed Veronica's number. Alina heard the phone ring. Maxwell spoke in a low, resolute tone. Veronica, this is Maxwell. We're done on a personal level. Any further communication will be strictly through lawyers regarding business investments and will be copied to my wife. Goodbye. He hung up, exhaling. Alina regarded him with guarded eyes. It was a step, but trust wasn't rebuilt in a single act. You'll need to formalize this arrangement, liquidate or restructure her investment so your personal dealings end. Figure it out with the legal team, she instructed. Yes, I will. With that, Alina turned to leave, pausing at the door. I'll be in touch about counseling. For now, I'm staying at Maria's. The door shut behind her, leaving Maxwell alone with the hollow echo of his transgression. A week later, Alina and Maxwell started couples therapy with Dr. Beatrice L. Howard, a well-regarded psychologist specializing in infidelity and high-stress marriages. They attended sessions separately and together. Maxwell recounted his guilt and insecurity, how he felt he couldn't confide in Alina because he idolized her and feared disappointing her. He spoke of sleepless nights, panic attacks, and the seduction of Veronica's unwavering support. Alina listened, tears streaming at times, anger flaring at others. She aired her own grievances, her sense of betrayal, her shattered self-worth, and the emotional turmoil during her pregnancy. Dr. Howard helped them address suppressed resentments and unspoken pressures. Meanwhile, Maxwell took steps to remove Veronica's financial hold. He bought out her shares with a hefty penalty fee, restructured the board, and put new measures in place that required multiple sign-offs for major decisions. The rumor mill buzzed with the news that Veronica Cole had cut ties with Carter Tech, presumably to explore other investments. A subdued Maxwell, thoroughly chastened, avoided the spotlight. Slowly, Alina began spending more time at the penthouse, initially just for a few hours, to gather items for the baby or to cook a meal together. The walls, once oppressive with memory, started to feel like a place of potential healing. Her unborn child needed stability, and she wrestled daily with the question, could Maxwell truly change? She found small gestures from him that hinted at sincerity. Nursery furniture, delivered a custom rocking chair inscribed with their baby's name, Lillian. If a girl, or James, if a boy, Maxwell's attempts to show he was preparing to be a present father. He meticulously shared every text or email from business partners, ensuring Alina never had reason to suspect a hidden conversation with Veronica. Yet trust remained fragile. Alina's nightmares persisted. She would see Maxwell on stage, thanking Veronica all over again, while Alina stood pregnant and alone. The therapy sessions helped her piece together a mosaic of heartbreak and cautious optimism. Just as Alina and Maxwell began making tentative strides, a letter arrived at the penthouse one morning, a glossy envelope with embossed initials VC. Maxwell found it in the mailbox, trembling as he held it. Alina, noticing his tension, walked over. Veronica, she guessed. He nodded, handing her the envelope. You should read it. No secrets. Alina carefully opened it, discovering a single handwritten note. Dear Maxwell, as you sever ties with me, remember that what we shared wasn't a casual fling. You and I both know how deep that bond was. Regardless, I wish you well. You made your choice, but I won't forget what we had. If you ever need me, you know where to find me. Veronica, Alina's blood turned cold. The note felt like a threat, disguised as a farewell. The line "I won't forget what we had" seemed to imply that Veronica wasn't truly letting go, that she might circle back if Maxwell showed any sign of weakness. Maxwell watched Alina's reaction anxiously. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'll cut her out completely. Alina folded the note. Send it to the lawyer. Let them handle any further correspondence. We move forward, or we don't move at all. He nodded, pulling her gently into an embrace. She allowed herself to rest her head on his shoulder, though her heart still quivered with unresolved fear. In the quiet of that moment, she prayed that the path they were on would lead to real healing. Time moved swiftly. Alina entered her 8th month of pregnancy, her belly large and heavy. She had moved back into the penthouse on the condition that Maxwell continued therapy. Though their marriage was still mending, she found small moments where she felt genuine closeness to him, like when he'd cradle her bump, whispering sweet nothings to their baby. One evening, they were watching a documentary about design innovations when Alina's phone buzzed with an unknown number. She answered cautiously. Alina Carter, a female voice asked, subdued. This is Dr. Elizabeth White from the Los Angeles Medical Center. I'm calling because Veronica Cole was admitted an hour ago after an accident. She mentioned your name. Alina froze. What does this have to do with me? Dr. White hesitated. She said, if anything happened, she wanted Maxwell Carter notified. I believe she's in critical condition, and it seems she has no close family. Alina's pulse thundered. The nerve of Veronica to drag them into her crisis. She told Maxwell, who paled considerably. Do you want to see her? She asked, her tone neutral, carefully, masking the swirl of emotions. Maxwell looked torn. I don't know. She has no one else. But I promised. Alina turned to him, placing a hand on his arm. She's in critical condition, Maxwell. We can't ignore this. Despite everything, Alina's sense of compassion wouldn't let her turn a blind eye. She arranged for a private flight to Los Angeles, and within hours they were at the hospital, guided by Dr. White to Veronica's room. Veronica lay unconscious, hooked to various machines. A car accident had left her with broken ribs, internal bleeding, and a fractured skull. Her normally flawless complexion was marred by bruises. Alina lingered near the doorway while Maxwell approached the bed. He stared at the broken figure of the woman with whom he had shared a destructive but undeniably intimate bond. Alina watched, heart clenched with complicated emotions. Part of her despised Veronica, but another part recognized the fragility of life. This woman could die alone and unloved if no one came for her. Dr. White explained that Veronica's condition was touch and go. Maxwell authorized immediate financial coverage for the best medical treatment. Alina nodded in solemn agreement. Whatever else Veronica was, she was still a human being, in mortal danger. They waited in the hospital lounge for hours. Alina felt her baby shifting inside her, a reminder of life's preciousness. Maxwell reached for her hand, and she let him hold it. For the first time in months, they seemed united in a singular cause: compassion. Finally, Dr. White emerged, looking exhausted. She's stable for now. She regained consciousness briefly and asked to see Maxwell. Alina glanced at Maxwell, her heart pounding. "Go," she urged softly. "Hear what she has to say." He nodded, walking down the hallway. Alina remained staring at the sterile tiles, half wondering if Veronica's words would pull Maxwell back into old habits or reaffirm his commitment to Alina. Standing by the hospital bed, Maxwell hesitated. Veronica's eyes fluttered open, dull with pain. She managed a faint smile. "You came," she whispered hoarsely. He nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. "I couldn't just leave you like this." She tried to shift, wincing in agony. "I wanted to say, I'm sorry for complicating your life. I was angry. But seeing you here, I realize you genuinely do care for your wife, your future child." Maxwell closed his eyes, relief mingling with regret. "I do care, and I'm sorry I led you on. I never intended." She gently reached for his hand, tears sliding down her bruised face. "I know, I didn't want to lose you, but it's too late. I can see you're not mine to have." He squeezed her hand once, compassion in his gaze. "You'll find someone who loves you in return," he said gently. She let out a small, sad laugh. "Maybe. I just wanted you to know I understand now. It's Alina and the baby that's your life." He nodded, voice trembling. "Yes, it is." A nurse entered to adjust Veronica's IV drip. Sensing the finality of their conversation, Maxwell turned to go. At the door, Veronica spoke again, voice quieter. "Thank you for caring enough to come." Without another word, Maxwell left the room, feeling an odd sense of closure. In the hallway, he found Alina, waiting hand resting protectively over her pregnant belly. He told her what happened, how Veronica had apologized and accepted their marriage. They walked out together, the weight of resentment and suspicion easing. Outside, the Los Angeles dusk spread a soft orange glow across the sky. They stood by the hospital entrance, the hum of traffic passing by, each lost in thoughts of heartbreak, guilt, and a slender hope for forgiveness. Back in New York, months passed. Alina continued therapy, working through her lingering trust issues. Maxwell attended additional sessions focused on stress management and vulnerability, learning how to confide in Alina rather than hide behind a facade of perfection. The final test arrived when Alina went into labor. It was a stormy evening, lightning illuminating the skyline. Maxwell rushed her to the hospital, hands trembling on the steering wheel. Amid excruciating contractions and hours of anguished waiting, Alina delivered a healthy baby girl, Lillian Grace Carter. Holding little Lillian in her arms, Alina felt an overwhelming wave of love and relief. Maxwell stood beside her, tears streaming down his cheeks. In that moment, everything else, affairs, betrayal, heartbreak, faded into the background. Their daughter's cry was a testament to new life, a beacon of hope, that maybe they could build something stronger on the ruins of their past. In the weeks that followed, Maxwell was a doting father, waking at odd hours to soothe Lillian's cries, changing diapers, singing lullabies in a soft baritone. Alina watched him with a mix of admiration and lingering caution. The cracks in their marriage remained, but each day spent caring for Lillian became a mortar, slowly repairing those cracks. One afternoon, as Lillian napped, Maxwell and Alina sat on the penthouse balcony overlooking Central Park. He gently reached for her hand. "I know I can never fully erase what I did," he said, voice subdued. "But I want you to know that every day I choose you and Lillian. I'm done chasing illusions of perfection. I'm committed to this family." Alina's eyes glittered with tears. She squeezed his hand. "I believe you, or at least I'm learning to believe again. It's not going to be instantaneous, but I'm willing to keep trying." They leaned close foreheads, touching the city's roar, distant and inconsequential compared to the quiet vow they exchanged in that moment. It was a vow to heal, to forgive, and to nurture the fragile love that remained. No, their story wasn't a fairy tale, but it was real. It was flawed and messy, and it had nearly been destroyed by ego deception and betrayal. Yet on the other side of heartbreak, they discovered that sometimes the greatest test of love is surviving the storm and learning to trust that the sun can rise again. 6 years later, Alina and Maxwell Carter sat in the front row of another awards ceremony. This time, it was not for Maxwell, but for Alina, who was being honored by the American Interior Design Council for her groundbreaking designs in sustainable luxury homes. Maxwell held a squirming Lillian on his lap, their eyes brimming with pride. When Alina took the stage to accept her award, she smiled at her husband and daughter. She thanked them for their unwavering support, her voice quivering with emotion. In that moment, Maxwell felt his heart swell, reminded of the second chance life had given him, reminded of the vow he made to never again let vanity or secrecy overshadow the gift he had right before him. Meanwhile, Veronica Cole's name was scarcely mentioned in the Carter household. According to rumors, she'd moved overseas, recovering from her accident and investing in European tech startups. The final chapter with Veronica had closed, freeing Alina and Maxwell to write a new narrative, one where mistakes were not erased but transformed into lessons of humility and devotion. Their marriage would never be labeled perfect, but it was honest and it was theirs. And for them, that was enough. In the end, Alina and Maxwell's journey reminds us that true love can be tested by life's most painful betrayals, and sometimes, if both hearts are willing, love can rise stronger. They emerged from the ashes of deceit, carrying scars that shaped their deeper bond. Their daughter Lillian symbolizes the hope that even when dreams shatter, new dreams can be born. Every relationship faces storms. Not all survive. But in Alina and Maxwell's story, we see how vulnerability, honesty, and a sincere desire to change can forge a path toward redemption and forgiveness. If their story has moved or inspired you, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with someone who might need a reminder that it's never too late to rebuild. Let's keep spreading stories that give us hope even in our darkest moments. Thank you for watching and supporting our channel.